this particular one will look at Trump and Trump's invasion of Venezuela. And I'll call that an invasion naturally, because that's what it was. Well, more of a hostile, well, was it hostile? Let's call it a takeover. A takeover of Venezuela. Okay? Now, looking at this article, I'm going to read this article, obviously, to frame what we're going to say before coming in with some commentary. Okay. Basically, US strikes Venezuela and says leader Maduro has been captured and flown out the country. As we know, it says here, an audacious military operation plucked leader Nicolas Maduro from power and removed him from the country. Donald Trump said Saturday that the US would run Venezuela temporarily and tap its vast oil reserves to sell to other nations. Straight in, no chaser. Okay? There we have to say that Trump's just been blatant. No political correctness, no speeches, no, no filibuster, as it were. Straight in and saying it how it is. Okay? Right. The article goes on. The dramatic action capped an intensive Trump administration pressure campaign on the South American nation and its autocratic leader, and months of secret planning resulting in the most assertive American action to achieve regime change since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, moving on. Legal experts immediately questioned whether the operation was lawful, and the vice president of Venezuela, who is now de facto prime minister or leader of the nation, as it were, has demanded that the US free Maduro and call him the country's rightful leader. Since then, it's believed that the replacement will be in charge for now, and not only that, but is looking more than likely to be more conformist to the American ideals and what America want to achieve. Okay, so obviously speaking, the article goes on. Speaking to reporters hours after Maduro's capture, Trump revealed his plans to exploit the leadership void to fix the country's oil infrastructure and sell large amounts of oil to other countries. There you have it. Okay. Then the article goes on to talk about Maduro and his wife being seized overnight. A plan to send him and his wife to New York, where he's now believed to be, and obviously, and so forth. So basically, what's happened here is, as we now know, and many people have commentated, that this is an oil grab. Okay, there's quite a few things being said about this, but ultimately, it could be believed, to be an oil grab. Okay, now I'm going to look at a few things. Obviously, from a blue skies approach, we're obviously, touching on a few elements where others can go away and look where others can go away and look and study. But there's a few things that need to be looked at. A few elements that need to be looked at, as well as me touching on a few comments online. But ultimately, what's going to be the response from this? Okay. Nationally, as we know, there are those that are, sympathetic actually to Donald Trump's invasion, and there's obviously those that aren't. Obviously there's those that view Maduro's leadership as dictatorial, but then again there's others that are celebrating, seeing that they're now going to be liberated, as it were. Okay, so that's one level of response. But the other level of response would be the impact globally, especially with regards to oil, which Donald Trump has been looking to capture. Okay, let's not forget, China is the biggest buyer of Venezuelan oil. Okay, So that's going to have some kind of impact. Okay, from what I know, that the Chinese have already responded with regards to this invasion. Okay, so I mean, it's been said that Venezuela had sanctions and embargoes against it, but ultimately, one of the main sources of income, regardless of that, had been oil, and the oil it was looking to trade is trading with China. So there's going to be a look at that relationship there, and again, there's this kind of cold war with China at the moment, and that may make things worse. Let's not forget, in terms of that, there was a back and forth, and China simply took Trump raised tariffs, and China, I think, did the same, but also let the cat out of the bag, saying, the products you buy in America, for example, Birkin bags, yeah. A good example would be something like a Birkin bag or something like that, yeah. They cost pennies to make. So, there's no bigger way of winning a trade war than that. Simply saying, hold on a minute, mate. Where you're buying your things from, we're making that for pennies. They just put it out there. You know what I mean? So basically, yeah, there's that. We've looked at the dichotomy. Obviously, there are those in Venezuela that are happy. Obviously, there's those that reacted against that. But one of the general views is the outrage. There's global outrage outside the country, but in the country, there's those who are happy for being liberated. How does that work out? I'll explain. Liberating a country does not mean taking its resources and taking its oil. Okay, Trump could easily have liberated the country by putting forward a leader that's going to be more westernized, letting more Western, trade, commerce, the usual thing. For example, the McDonaldization, of Venezuela and such, The next question they're actually asking is, where's he going to go next? He talks about Greenland. Is the oil there? Where's he going to go next? Is he going to go to Cuba? You know what I mean? So there's things that need to be looked at there. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a question of, is America right playing international policeman, as they call it, or as I call it, international robber in this case? You've broken into someone's house, taken their goods and products illegally. But hey, there's many reasons for this. Many say it's oil. Many say that in Venezuela itself, there was those that were speaking out against Netanyahu and Israel. So there was critics in Venezuela, which may, I guess, have an effect, although I doubt it. There's obviously Russia who's spoken out, and obviously, many have said there's drugs. It's a war on drugs, yeah. We know that's not the case. It's oil. Okay, let's just keep it there. Another aspect has been the aspect of the violating of international law. Okay, that's a big one. There's people, that have come out and said, hold on, you violated international law. And also, it's believed there was no permission from Congress. From what I'm aware, yes, according to the U.S. Constitution, the president does not have the authority to unilaterally invade another country without congressional approval, except in the case of self-defense and imminent threat. Okay? There you go. So, yeah. And in the case of Venezuela, President Trump's recent actions, including the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, have sparked debate about the need of congressional approval. Many lawmakers, including Democratic and some Republicans, argue that Trump's actions were unauthorized and violate the Constitution. Okay, there you go. Let's not forget the concept of checks and balances, which is meant to be president in American politics as such. Obviously, Trump has violated that. But hey, let's look at some comments on Facebook and some other websites. And I'll go through this very quickly. Oh, here's one. China, a long one. China views the US military action in Iraq as deeply consequential. During the conflict, China secured access to Iraqi oil at extreme low cost, effectively benefiting from the instability created by war in response to the US pressure and sanctions. China has expanded its energy partnerships with Venezuela, which it has, reinforcing its strategy of securing oil outside US influence. The United States has long used similar tactics, leveraging political power, conflict, and economic pressure to claim to control global energy resources. What we are seeing is not coincidence, but a strategic struggle for dominance over oil, influence, and the future of global power. Okay. Someone else says, who's next? Canada? Wow, okay. Another comment for oil. He's only said that 1,000 times. Correct. Distraction from the Epstein files. Yes. So now the focus now is on the attack on Venezuela, which is very convenient in regards to that. Okay. Why not use the word invade? There you go. Again, the word play on words. One thing I'll say about Trump is that he doesn't mince words. There's no political correctness. He goes straight in. Okay. To capture a drug lord that assumed power in Venezuela. Yeah, I won't be surprised if that's a bot, to be honest. We know there's many countries that have drugs being, drug cartels, which Trump has yet to invade. The main purpose of this, as we know, is oil. Have you spoken to Venezuelans about this? They are joyful about this happening. This goes back to what I was saying, them being liberated and them being free. But on the other hand, that can be seen as a separate issue, as opposed to attaining someone's oil resources, as it were. Okay. Will Trump declare Venezuela as the 51st state of the US? As he says, the USA will administer Venezuela for as long as necessary. Wait and see. Yes. The female vice president has now assumed charge, and she's obviously conforming to what the Americans want. So she may be sworn into office and actually run Venezuela now. Okay. He employed Madeira's second in command, Delcy Rodriguez. Now the acting president will likely lead the transition, as she is willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Translation: he will do what I want. Exactly. There you go. So let me wrap this up here, though, and that's it. Yeah. Okay, then. Oh, last one. Which international law is applied when you arrest someone in his own country and you tell him and you take him to your country? Exactly. Anyhow, let me leave it there. It is what it is. Okay, later.